Their thoughts on the 2012 presidential campaign. The two are also co-anchoring PBS's coverage of the upcoming Republican and Democratic national conventions.
Judy and I both come from the same types of background, which is we know what it's like to be on the dark side in commercial television. C-SPAN is great at pointing a camera. We too will point a camera, but we're going to tell you what it is you're seeing and why. We can tell you at length what it is that you should be thinking of.
Some media outlets regret not having covered more thoroughly candidate Obama's track record in 2008. What do you think is shaping up to be the big undercover story this year?
Do we ever know what they are until we undercover them? I always look back and think, oh, I wish I had asked that question, or I wish I had dug deeper. And generally, I don't know until it's over. I would love to know who those news organizations are who thought we didn't dig deep enough, because I really felt like we did, in the end, do a decent job of explaining who he was, where he came from, and what he meant to do. Now, it may be that there was disillusionment after he was elected among some people who heard something differently than they expected. So I would be curious to hear if anybody is going to ask this year about poverty or people who are stressed, who aren't in the top 1%. I remember in 2004, after I moderated the Cheney Edwards debate, it was in Ohio, and we went out and searched, the producer and I went out in search of people to talk to. And I remember walking into like a Piggly Wiggly store, one of those supermarkets, and walking up to a guy, middle-aged guy, wearing a leather bomber jacket, said he was a steel worker. He had been laid off for 11 months. I thought to myself, okay, this is clear what's about to happen here. He must be a Carrie Edwards voter, because this is the perfect example of the stressed out, Democratic-leaning, unemployed, middle of America, Ohio steel worker. And when I asked him who he was going to vote for, he said, oh, I'm voting for George W. Bush. And I said, why? He said, I trust him. Now, a month later, when Americans cast their vote, I realized what had happened, which is that a lot of people were voting based on that. Even though it may not have seemed obvious to us, policy matters. People want to know how these policies are going to affect their lives. They want to know whether their taxes are going to go up. They want to know whether their kids are going to be able to afford to repay their college loans. They want to know whether their kids should even go to college. They want to know whether their kids can survive high school when they think about going to the Batman movie and not being able to come home. And whoever in this campaign finds a way to speak to that in the most authentic way, whether it's through campaign advertising or whether it's through just a handshake or a hug in a hospital room, that person has the upper hand. In 2008, when I was moderating the Biden-Palin debate, came a point in the debate, you might recall, in which Governor Palin said to me, I don't have to answer the questions the moderator poses, which, of course, I thought that was the deal. What?